"What say you?" repeated the voice. Before I could turn around to see the owner of this voice, the figure had swiftly darted across and grabbed hold of Jenny by the neck. I turned to face him. It was the doctor from the hospital. History was repeating itself. This was the second time he had hold of Jenny. Well, here we are again. Well, minus a few of my staff, which you burned to death, along with my patients." I could feel the eyes of Mr. and Mrs. Overgate staring straight through my head. "What?" they said in horror. Mr. Harkin spoke with a smile permanently on his face. "He's been busy. Not only has he turned off the life support of some critical patients, he's also set fire to them and the doctors too." "It wasn't like that," I interjected. But even I did not believe that argument. "It all seems rather academic now, doesn't it? You see, one of the doctors—" I jumped in. "You're no doctor. You stole those jackets. He was torturing the patients there." He pulled out a long surgical knife, one might imagine it used to split open stomachs. He placed it right under Jenny's long, supple neck. "As I was saying, one of those doctors you burned to death was my brother. I saw him burn as I left after you. My own brother melt in front of me in balls of flames, writhing about the floor in agony, screaming out. His insides burned, his heart burning with heat until it was no more. But as you can see from my face, it's no picture any more. I suffered from your meddling. Look at me." He pulled the knife closer to Jenny's throat. I did. His face was dark and purple-reddish colour, with flakes of grey skin peeling off. "I came to this hospital for some painkillers, you see. It hurts like hell," he shouted out, his eyes staring wide at me. "Whilst there, I started my recruitment process. A doctor must have his staff, and with all that is going, it's been terribly difficult to keep up the standards I'm used to. But you were glad to know I've enlisted a matron to make sure everything's clean. Wouldn't want you catching anything," he laughed. The matron was a stocky-built man who didn't fit well into his matron-styled uniform. He had a cigar firmly between his teeth and would occasionally spit something out from his mouth. The other was just as aggressive-looking and even more out of place than the doctor, who continued his speech. "And as luck would have it, here you are with your little girlfriend. You see, I gave her back to you once, but this time I shall have my revenge. Why should you worry about this black girl anyway?" I could see Jenny's eyes staring up towards me. She didn't utter a word, just gulping slowly, so that the knife wouldn't cut her throat. I looked back at the doctor. I returned his racist comment. "Do we not bleed the same blood?" He smiled back at me and gently slid the blade from left to right across Jenny's throat. She let out a yelp and slumped to the ground in a pool of her own blood. The doctor licked the blood off the knife. "Oh, yes, you're right. We do. Oops, sorry. Too late." I quickly ran to Jenny, placing my hand on her throat to keep the blood in, but she had long died, probably inhaled and suffocated on her own blood. She was dead. "Oh, how rude of me. Allow me to introduce myself. I am Dr. Valentine. Nice to meet you. Sorry about the circumstances." There he was, towering above me, my heart filled full of rage for the death of Jenny. I launched myself straight at him, sending him to the floor, and started to beat his already frazzled body to a pulp. But with ease, even in his condition, he still managed to overturn me and leave me on the ground, his foot straight on my face. "What was it about stamping on the face? Forgotten now. Must seem like déjà vu to you, Mr. Bishop." How did he know my name, I thought. "James Bishop," he continued, removing the pressure from his foot, allowing me to stand up and face him. "Déjà vu? What do you mean?" "Oh, of course. You don't know what I did. They never caught me, did they?" "Caught you for what? What are you talking about?" "The murder of your wife." "What are you talking about?" I squared him up. "It was me. I killed your wife. Now I've killed Jenny, your little piece on the side. That's déjà vu. You didn't kill my wife." "Didn't I? How do you know?" "I remember her last words as she lay on the floor bleeding to death, but I've forgotten them now. I suspect they weren't important. Well, not to me, anyway. Shame. I suspect they would be to you." "You're lying, you bastard. You could have read that in a newspaper." Yes, I could, I guess, but I suppose the point is that you'll never know whether I did it or not. I suspect this will eat away at you, much like the death of my brother will. Me, I suppose to a man of equality, that will seem fair and just. We could shake each other's hands and have done with it. Let's, what are they called, those little things? Bygones be bygones. But you see, I'm not a man of equality. He grabbed hold of Mrs. Overgate, knocking Mr. Overgate, who tried to struggle to the ground. His other thugs grabbed hold of me and Harkin. The matron looked towards the mess of Jenny and back to the doctor and frowned, saying, "Not more mess." Valentine pulled out a clean surgical knife. I saw him insert it like a hot rod through hot metal into the heavily pregnant Mrs. Overgate. I turned away. I couldn't watch. I could hear her screams and the sounds of flesh being ripped apart, and the sound much like when a baby ewe is born out of its sack of liquid, the squelching noise. I even thought I heard one baby cry. When I turned around again, there on the floor was a mutilated baby, still attached by cord to its mother. Mr. Overgate, unconscious, awoke to find the carnage and rushed to his wife, bleeding to death on the green grass below her. She didn't say a word, just stared towards her lifeless baby, resting on the ground, buried before it was even born. Oh, don't be so surprised. I performed this operation many a time, usually in a professional capacity. Termination of life, you see. There really is no future at all. And I suppose you should have tried to stop me. Wise you didn't. I'd only have killed you. But of course, I suspect I will you anyway. Just at my choosing. Time is such a precious gift. He took out a gun and held it out. Now, let's all move. He fired a warning shot close to Mr. Overgate's feet, to show him that he was prepared to use it. Mr. Overgate, myself, and Harkin walked in front of Dr. Valentine, along with his thugs, constantly looking behind us as we left Mrs. Overgate to slowly bleed to death.